Welcome to the Where Are We Going Now podcast, where you meet interesting and crazy people, hear their stories on how they navigated through their own life, to hopefully give you some insight on how you'd like to navigate your life. Welcome to the Where Are We Going Now podcast, episode 17? Question mark? We'll figure that out later. Today, I am here with an actress from Houston, Texas, Claire Riffle. Say hi to the people, Claire.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very excited to be here on a Friday.
Me too.
It's a good way to start the weekend.
Yes.
Claire, I met Claire. I always tell my audience how I met my guest. I met Claire through a youth acting biz class taught by Mary Kennedy, who was a guest on this podcast, and by Paul Jasic, who will be next week's guest. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Paul has a lot to say.
Yes.
So stay tuned for next week. But today we are here to talk about Claire. Claire, you're 20 years old now.
Yes.
What drew me to Claire's story is that she's 20 years old and lives in Los Angeles by herself. That, what I was doing at 20 was trying to go to a liquor store by myself. So it's very amazing to me that you have that kind of drive and you already know kind of what you want to do in life and you have that passion. So, and then when you sent me your bio, it was clearly much more evident the passion that you really had. So let's start back in 1997.
Popping out of the womb.
Yeah. So, what is it? How many people are in your family?
My direct family is just my mom, my dad, and then I have an older sister.
Older sister.
Yeah, she's 23.
You guys grew up in the city of Houston.
Yes.
What was it like, late 90s, growing early 2000s?
The last 3 years of the 90s, let me think. Not really sure about that. No, it was fun. We had a ranch about an hour outside of Houston in a place called Cat Spring. So we would go there every weekend.
Sounds lovely.
Oh, it was great. It is great. But yeah, it's about an hour out, and we would go there every weekend. So during the week was just regular school, and then every weekend we'd go out there, and that was kind of like my escape, because I'm not such a city person. I don't love the city. That's what I guess I miss most about home is like the country feel.
Yeah.
So, but
if you've never been to Texas, it is very country-like.
Oh, yes.
Texas is one of my favorite states. I've been there way too many times
Really?
for someone that doesn't live there. I really do. I think I fell in love with San Antonio first, and then Austin, Houston, and then Dallas, because Dallas is not that great. But so on this ranch that you guys had, what did you have? Horses, cows, farmland. What was the ranch?
So it's just my grandma who lives there. She still lives there now, and I'm very close with her. But because it's just her, it's hard for her to be able to manage a bunch of livestock. So, but our literally across the fence neighbors owned a horse farm, so we grew up riding horses there. But
cool.
As for our property, we just had we didn't really have any livestock or anything. Occasionally, the neighbors' cows break down the fence and come over, but
No, there's a lot of land there, though.
yeah.
So
yeah.
what would you guys do there besides ride your neighbor's horses?
Oh, fish, hunt. I don't want to get in trouble.
Trouble with who?
Yeah,
Claire?
yeah. No, only things that were affecting the property, like little, beavers and stuff that were ruining the dams. But
That's and you did that from a kid.
yeah,
That's really cool to me because I'm from a small city, anyways, on the East Coast, and never had a friend that even knew someone with a farm. Never mind, I never knew anyone with a farm. So what, were you scared to go hunting? Were you scared to go fishing? Was that kind of everybody else was doing it?
That's not really my friends in school were doing it, but my family, as far as growing up, I guess that was so normal. For Christmas and stuff, I would ask for fishing lures and bait and tackle boxes. That was I'm yes.
How are you not on a fishing show right now? What's going on?
That would be fun. I'd love to, but right now I'm focusing on acting. But yeah, and we would do just little. We didn't really do any big deer hunting or anything like that. But I mean, we would do that, but we had property in McAllen, Texas, which is way farther, and that's just like a deer lease kind of thing. But
cool.
the one that's just an hour outside is in Cat Spring, is mainly just like fishing, and we would drive around on four-wheelers and,
So you were an outdoorsy kind of kid.
Yeah.
So how did you realize that you liked acting? Because in your bio, it said you realized by like 11.
Yeah.
You were like, okay, this is me.
So my family is very funny, and
Funny how? Funny like a clown? Just kidding.
Oh, gosh. No, like my sister and I would always do like little home videos, like every kid does. And then I think actually, have you seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Of course.
Thank God. I think I was talking to my mom this morning. I think that was actually when I first started doing like impressions like of Kip, the brother Kip.
Yeah.
Like I was him for Halloween, and I've always had like, I know, yeah. That's
Can you do an impression right now?
Oh God, I don't even remember. It's like, what does he say? He says, Napoleon, you're just jealous. I've been chatting online with babes all day. And like, it's not the voice, but it's just the lines.
And the facial expression.
Right.
You really nailed that.
Yeah. But he, I had a million different voices as a kid. Like I was so weird. And I don't know. I guess I just really liked when I would force my family to sit down and watch our very awkward performances that I now look back on in the videos that we have, and it's just like, I don't need to watch this.
And your sister's older, you said?
Yeah.
So was this a collaboration? Was one forcing the other?
No, I think we both wanted to do it. She would kind of be the director in most things. She would tell me what to do because she was the older sister, so I would listen. And
what does she do now?
She is studying to be a special ed teacher. A lot different than what I'm doing. She's helping others. Meanwhile, I'm focusing on me.
But it seems like while you were filming, she was also kind of the special ed teacher,
That is so rude.
But
I
also
guess.
on point.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It was on point. I will give you credit.
Thank you. So you guys are doing these home movies. I think you said there are a lot of music videos involved.
Yes, I thought you were going to leave that part out, hoping.
No.
I shouldn't have put that in there. No, we would do, it wasn't necessarily music videos, but it was more, she would choreograph dances that we would put on. And we actually have, I don't know if you remember a video when YouTube first came out, there's a video called Shoes. Do you remember that video?
No.
Okay, well, it's just a song about this man dressed up as a woman buying shoes. And yeah. 2004, but we used to sit there and I had one boy cousin on my dad's side of the family who we're close with, and he would come over all the time, and my sister would be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And she would choreograph stuff, and we have videos, and we would do dances to those songs, and like just, every song that was popular at the time. But Shoes, we have a video where we had my cousin, who is 1 year younger than me, wearing a fur coat and a mini skirt and had blue glitter in his hair.
This kid's 19 right now.
Yes.
And this is going on air. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. And then I would, but it's funny watching the videos back. I just recently watched it, and I'm strutting in the front, like making sure everyone's behind me. I'm like, here it comes. Like, I'm here now. Everyone back off. But yeah, those kind of videos. And we listen to horrible rap songs that 11-year-olds should never, ever know the words. And here I am saying every cuss word in the book. My mom's like, where did you learn that? But,
what was your favorite rap song to rap?
Rap song? I was really into like Snoop Dogg when I was little. Yes. I can't remember. Is that Drop It Like It's Hot?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That song then.
So you must have been in like 4th grade when that came out.
Yes, I went to a Kid Cudi concert when I was 11.
What?
Yeah.
You're the coolest 11-year-old there.
No, because my friends and I were sitting there thinking we were just the coolest. And we only knew Pursuit of Happiness. So we're just like waiting. We're like, come on. And we turned around, and these guys, I'll never forget, that was my first experience with smelling weed, because I turned around, there were these men in business suits sitting up there kind of laying back. And I was like, they're smoking cigarettes, but it doesn't smell like it. And that was when I had my first exposure to weed.
That's hilarious. And it seems from our conversation before, it seems that you have stuck with not liking weed. So
No, yeah, I'm not a smoker. But
you can't be because, especially with all the time you've put into voice lessons and everything.
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, no, that's definitely not a good idea. No, it's just I don't know. In high school, like everyone drinks and does whatever, and like it's fun. And then people go to college and they're like, let's do it more. And I was just kind of like, no, I'm kind of over it. Like,
cool.
Just,
You're the cool kid, sober driver home. I get it.
Yeah.
So let's get into high school a bit because it says at 13 your bio says that at 13 you auditioned for a performing arts school. Mm-hmm. And you ultimately didn't get in. You got the call back, but didn't get in.
Yes.
How did that kind of affect your, kind of thinking about acting, to be told no at such a young age?
So it was kind of a wake-up call because in 8th grade in middle school was really when I had been studying acting before, but I started doing musical theater in 8th grade. And so I was doing, all these performances and whatever. So I was like, oh, like, this will be easy, whatever. Get the call back, all excited, like waiting for the acceptance letter, didn't get in. And I was just kind of like, at first I was like, oh, it's because I did this bad. And I actually remember the monologue I did in my callback I learned the morning of, which was my fault. But I don't know. I can't even remember a lot of it. But I remember my 2 best friends that auditioned with me, they both got in and I didn't. And so I was like, well, but I had a bunch of friends who were going to Episcopal, which is where I ended up going. So I was excited about that. And I knew that they had like a theater program. And I don't know, I never like thought, okay, well, they didn't like me, so I'm done acting. I was just kind of like, okay, well, I had a very mature mindset. I don't know how, but I was like,
well, that's good.
I was like, everything happens for a reason. Now I'm like, where is the audition?
If I ever heard a 13-year-old say everything happens for a reason, I would tell them to go jump a fence
I
or
literally
get dirty.
am like 67 on the inside, so I've always been older in my brain.
Well, that's probably how you're 20 years old surviving in a huge metropolis of a city by yourself.
Yes.
So let's get into high school. You said the name of your high school was Episcopal?
Episcopal. Mm-hmm.
Was that a big school, a small school?
No, it's a smaller school.
Like how many kids?
In my grade, I think there was 170.
Okay, so like a 500-person school, anyway,
Yeah.
600-person.
Yeah.
So your friends did you stay friends with your 2 best friends that got into the performing arts school?
So we didn't have like a falling out. I think after 8th grade, when you go to different schools, everyone just kind of branches off. And of course, like we're still to this day on great terms, but we didn't keep in touch as, for long.
Yeah, sure,
but
sure.
Actually, one of them ended up not going to the performing arts school. She went to a school called Kincaid. And that was actually our rival school, Episcopal and Kincaid. But the other one who went to the performing arts school, I ran into her a few years ago, and I asked her, so, you still want to do acting? She was like, no. She was like, it completely drained me. Like, they ruined it for me. So
really?
Yeah. So I was kind of like...
everything does happen for
right?
a reason.
But I remember thinking... I just remembered this. When you asked me how I felt when I didn't get in, I remember thinking, like, it's okay. When I make my first acceptance speech, I'll be sure to mention the fact that they lost out. I remember thinking that.
Do you still feel that way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I don't know if I would be here if I went to that school. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when you went to Episcopal, did you keep acting? You said they had a theater program.
So yeah, I was doing a lot of acting outside of school. I signed with an agency. And it's kind of a scam, if I'm being honest, but they had you take a bunch of classes, and I was brand new, so I was like, oh, of course this makes sense. Like, they want me to pay all this. Duh. Like, makes sense.
It costs money to be famous.
Right, yeah. And so that took up a lot of my time, and I wasn't a huge fan of the drama teacher at my high school because he was just so involved in teenage girl drama. It's ridiculous. He wanted to make a newspaper article about my group of friends and how we were like we like left people out. I don't know what this man.
Wait. Let's dive into this for a second. You and your friends
Yes.
had that you cannot sit with us attitude.
Never. No, seriously, never. We never did.
So what was the article? How did you find out that he wanted to write this article? What was the basis? Like what was going? I need to know.
Okay, so there was another high school in Houston, and there was a group of girls that we knew that were in our grade, and they called themselves the Naughty Nine. So
Gross.
yeah, so classy. So as a joke, completely kidding, my group of friends and I were like, "Ooh, nasty nine." It wasn't even 9 of us. It was like 12. Like it was a complete joke.
You had more friends than them.
Right. I was
you
like
were popular.
super popular. But we were like, oh, like nasty nine. And someone thought that we were being serious. We didn't like post about it or anything, but someone like overheard us or something making a joke. And I guess this huge rumor got spread that we called ourselves that. Not true at all.
The Nasty Nine.
The nasty. I'm like, oh, me. That's me. And so then the drama teacher heard about it, and he's like this 55-year-old man. Like, I'm like, do you have a life or no? Yeah. And I heard from one of my friends who was in theater how he talked about us. He doesn't even know who we are, and he wanted to print in the school newspaper an article about the Nasty Nine.
Oh my God!
And I was like,
how did this get resolved?
Luckily, it just kind of died down after like a month. But
like
people,
most gossip.
Right. It was the dumbest thing ever.
It's always, I feel like it's always the theater teacher that's a little too creepy.
Right. And he looked it, believe me.
Mm-hmm. We had a theater teacher at my high school, and Brendan can attest to this, Brendan Sargent, who was a guest on this podcast that Claire also knows.
Hi, Brendan.
Yeah. He was just a creepy guy that would you're right, they get involved into students' lives and to a point where it's weird.
It's like, do you have your own?
Yeah. It's like, how did you get a job teaching children?
Right. I had a theater teacher in 8th grade, actually, and I played Annie in Annie the musical that we put on. And I remember he would, have to teach me how to waltz and stuff, for the dancing with Daddy Warbucks or whatever. And he would have, whatever, creep. And
I hope he didn't make you call him Daddy Warbucks.
Only once. No, and I remember the last day of school, they ordered, because Annie wears a locket or whatever. I don't know if you know the story, but...
Let's pretend I do.
Okay, so the locket she wears, they ordered one special for me, for the part or whatever, and it didn't come in time, so we had to buy one at Claire's. God forbid. This is musical theater in 8th grade. Everything has to be official. So the last day of school, he emailed me or something. He's like, come to my office later by yourself.
You were getting emails in 8th grade?
Maybe it wasn't. I don't know if it was an email or if it was just like a school email thing, not like a Gmail deal. I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyways, he told me to come to his office by myself because he had to give me something. And I was like, I'm smart and I'm not going to do that. So I had my friend Cameron come with me. I was like, you've got to come with me and just stand outside. I don't know what this guy's going to do. And so I went and he hands me a box. He goes, this is for you. And he hands me a box and it was the locket with my name engraved. And I was like, oh, thanks. And he was like, come here, I'm really going to miss you. And gives me a hug. And I was like, oh my God, my final's starting. I have to go. Thank you so much, though.
That was such great acting by you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
There's no wonder why you got Annie.
Right, but yeah, drama teachers can be great and they can be kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that was really interesting to me.
Sorry, my ADD kicked in and I remembered that story.
No, I really enjoyed it. But okay, so you're with this pseudo agency.
Yes.
Anyways,
mm-hmm.
Friends in high school, were they also into acting? How did you socialize? What was your socialization like?
So it was weird. I kind of had none of my direct friends in my friend group were into acting at all. They were supportive of me 100%. They're like, oh, that's great. But they didn't really, they were, again, regular high schoolers, and they wanted to do the regular high school stuff, which is totally normal. I was the weird one that was like, I'm going to work on my career. And so I would just go to my classes after I would go to school, and then I'd get out and then go to my acting classes from, I think it was like 4:30 to 7:30 every day or something. And but that agency kind of, they made it seem like if you take all these classes, you're going to sign with our agency and you're going to get all the work in the world. So I took all the classes, I signed with them, which I had to audition to sign with them after them seeing me for 2 years performing. I was like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And they totally put me on a shelf. I didn't get any auditions. I think I got one audition. It was in Austin, and I got to the location, and the address was wrong. The address I put in was in a field, and so I was like, I kept calling my agent. She wouldn't answer. There was no communication. So,
wow. And how old were you when you went to Austin?
When I went, oh God, this was towards the end of high school, so probably 16 or 17.
That's gotta be. Were you by yourself?
No, my mom was with me. Because...
that's even worse. That's like, if you were by yourself, you could like have a moment to sulk and then go home. But then your mom's there.
Yeah, but I called them a million times. No one answers. I email, whatever. Finally, someone calls me back, and I am annoyingly early places. I learned that from my dad.
I'm the same way.
Who literally, if our flight's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we get there at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like there's no question. And luckily I had a lot of time, and they called me right as my call time was about to be, and they were like, oh no, it's on the next street, and you have to go down the street and then turn, like all this weird. I'm like, you couldn't have put that in the first email?
Yeah.
And I actually made the audition, thank God, but of course I get there and they had changed the sides, and I was just like, and this was my first kind of starting to learn how to audition.
Yeah, really threw you to the wolves.
Yeah,
there.
and that was kind of like my last straw. I was like, listen, y'all don't communicate with me. You send me out on like 1 or 2 auditions, and I've been with you for a year and a half. Like, that's not normal. And you're still telling me to come take these classes. So then I dropped them as my agency.
That's awful to hear. So I have 2 things I want you to kind of expand on. Mm-hmm. So how would you now know, now that you've been through it, how do you know what a fake agency looks like?
If they ask you for money right off the bat, like that's absolutely...
They should never ask you for money.
Never.
Ever.
No, they can recommend... Yeah, listen. No, they can recommend, if they offer classes, that's great, but don't say, here, do all this payment now and, blah, 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 and you can do, monthly or year, whatever. If they ask you for any money right off the bat, you just say no. And if they don't communicate with you, you should be on, like, first name basis with your agent. I mean, when you're under 18, it's different because Mr. whatever.
Yeah, right.
But you should be able to communicate with them very easily, and this was so hard to get in touch. I actually went from like 3 different agents because they kept firing people. So that's another sign where it's like, if you can't even run your business, why would I want to be with you? But again, I was brand new to it, so I was like, this is probably normal. Like, no, it's fine. Like, things will start picking up. Clearly.
And then, okay, that was a good explanation. And the second thing is, I want you to talk about how nerve-wracking auditions can be. So just to reiterate the fact that, like, they didn't give you those directions, whereas, take a left, go down the street, bang a right, and you're there. How nervous are you already for the audition, never mind just finding the address? Like, what is that preparation like? What is, just explain that.
Well, I mean, if it depends, if it's for a commercial, typically they give you your lines when you get there, or it's improvised. And if it's for, a film or something, they'll have you memorize a script before, or, whatever. And me being like a perfectionist, I want to make sure everything's memorized. I don't want to have any script in my hand. I mess with myself. And so, you're so nervous that it's almost like funny looking back on it. You're like, all you do is go into a room for 30 seconds, say your name, and do like 3 lines and you're done. But for me, the most nerve-wracking part is getting there on time. Like, now that I'm here, I Uber everywhere. Like, it's just so much easier. So I never have to worry about parking, especially in LA.
Yeah.
So I Uber there. But then the problem is, I get there too early. And it's good to get there like 15 minutes early, but when you're an hour early, like me.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
man.
it's like they're kind of like, why are you here? We haven't even opened the doors. And so killing time before you audition, and then you can kind of psych yourself out by going over it too many times to where you're like, oh God. But it's a very nerve-wracking process. I mean, the more you do it, the easier it gets, but it definitely helps when you have like a casting director who makes you feel a lot calmer. Like when you walk in and they just death glare you and wait for you like start, it's like, oh, my heart just stopped. Hold on a minute. But when they're like, oh, just come in and, you just go ahead and improvise. I love when they have you improvise stuff because like for me, I love improvising. It's just...
And you're good at it.
Well, thank you. But you can like really, you can show your sense of humor and like what you're able to do. And it just, like I booked a commercial and he said I got it because of my improvising. And I was like, that's so great. Like people go in there thinking it's all about the lines, but it's really about... if you're able to improvise, showing your range, which I think is cool. But
and improvise, I think it's important to improvise something that A, makes sense, but B, fits, like you said, your range, like your character, like what you
absolutely.
Don't try to stretch.
No. Go in there playing a teenager and say 30-year-old women stuff like, my kids left the car door open. No.
That's, okay, well, that's cool. And then, so, like, towards the end of high school, when most kids are, taking the SATs, looking at colleges, what were you doing? So
I did take I actually was planning to go to college. Like that was always, I was like for sure gonna go. And, I'm a B student. I'm not like a National Honor Society, but I did try. And like, it just, I was so focused on what opportunities I was missing during school. Like I was like, I think I mentioned in there, like I used to text my mom is very motherly and would be like, text me when you get to school because I would drive myself. And every time I text her, I'd be like, I'm here. I don't know why. I'm wasting my time. Like this is a waste. And every morning, I'm sure I still have texts from it. And so I was constantly just like during class, which is bad, but I'm not going to lie. I would look at like Backstage or stuff during school. And I just felt like I was missing so much opportunities doing that. So, but I did take the SAT. I did do the ACT. I applied to colleges, got in. I was actually planning to go to either Marymount, Manhattan or Ole Miss. Those are my two.
Those are such opposite schools.
Right. And none of them are in LA. I didn't even think about California schools.
Wow.
Because I think I know it sounds cliche, but I think I knew, like really deep down, I wasn't going to go. I think I was just kind of I literally decided, I think in May of like graduation, May, I was like, And luckily I have very supportive parents. A lot of people's parents
would freak out.
Would be like, are you joking? Like, no, you're going to school.
But the other good thing is that you clearly showed your parents that you were dedicated from a young age.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was about to graduate high school and I looked at my dad and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to become an actor. He would be like, yeah, grab a shovel, kid. Well, let's go out back. But that's, I think, showing your willingness and drive, I think, made it a lot easier for your parents.
And I'm sure that they were kind of expecting it. Like, I think they kind of knew because I would mention it here and there. Like, there's no point in me to go because, yes, I still want to get an education, but I want to you go to college to find out what you want to do and to study what you want to be. If I can do that and just do it at acting classes or and
not spend $40,000 a year.
Right. And I think that, so when I told them, I don't even remember the conversation, but I think whenever I decided, they were just like, okay. Like, it was not like a, really? Are you sure? They were just like, okay, we need to find you an apartment. So it's kind of like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, did I read this right? Did you go on a Europe trip after?
I did, for graduation.
So how long were you there for?
3 weeks.
3 weeks? So were you with people?
I was with the same group of girls.
The Nasty Nine.
The Nasty Nine, yes.
I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah, I know. But I was them, and it was a program that a lot of people would go on, and you would sometimes coordinate schedules with your friends, like other groups that were going, and then sometimes you were by yourself with just your group places. But it was really fun. But yeah, I mean, we went all over the place. When
you don't seem that interested in talking about it, but while you were there, did you ever have a feeling like maybe I want to go to Europe, or were you always just like Los Angeles?
Yeah. I am such a homebody that anything Europe, like I don't have anything against Europe. Like it's fun to go on vacation, but like the outlets, the toilets, everything else, like no. Where's the McDonald's? Like I need normal stuff. Like when I came home, I was so excited to come home and just, it was great. But the thing about backpacking for this specific trip, it was really fun, and I was with a great group of people, and we did have lots of fun and do a lot of things. But you're only in places for 2 or 3 nights because you have to get up the next day or, whatever, and go to a different country or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, it was a lot of, we spent probably 50% of the time just walking to the trains and like sitting on the trains. And then you'd get off and have a day and a half or maybe half a day to look at where you were.
Right.
But the one cool thing I did there was I skydived in Interlaken. Switzerland, which was really cool. That's like my claim to fame.
Jumped out of a perfectly good airplane?
Helicopter.
What?
Yeah, I live on the edge.
Whoa. That's like, I'm just, not for nothing, that helicopter makes it way more badass.
Oh, I had never been in a helicopter.
Yeah, who has?
Yeah, it was, I know, right? It was like life flight. Like, it was.
And you had someone strapped to your back, obviously?
Oh, I was by myself. No, yes, of course. Yeah.
You just scared me. I was like, oh, God, Claire.
Yeah, I barely made it. Yeah.
What made you do that?
It's always been on my bucket list since I was little. I think I initially put it, said that I wanted to do it just because it sounds cool. And then I actually got up there to do it. And I was like, oh, wow. And it was 14,000 feet. And I thought that, I remember being in the helicopter and I was with one other friend and her guide. And you're strapped tight to these men. Mine looked like Alan from The Hangover. And we're up there and I'm looking up and we're like getting above the clouds and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Like the pilot's taking us on a little tour and then we're going to go down a little bit. We jumped straight above the clouds. Like there was no mountains or anything in sight.
Wow.
And then, we got to see everything, which was great. But
yeah, when you hit the ground, were you like, that was awesome? Or were you like, thank God?
Well, I look back at the tape because they have a GoPro. The guide has a GoPro on their wrist. And I looked back at my tape and you can see me mouthing every cuss word in the book. And then I'm sitting there I'm trying to like play it so cool, like, because I'm not afraid of heights, but like when you're up there, I don't care who you are and you're afraid of heights. And I'm sitting there in the video and I'm going, wow, this is so pretty. My face is going like all backwards. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Inside, I'm like, get me on the floor. I was like, oh. And they're like, just enjoy it. And then he has you fly a little bit. I'm like, I don't think you want me to do that, really. But
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So
then let's talk about how you transitioned to Los Angeles, because this is just unbelievable to me. So how did that go for you? You came home from Europe. And what was your next move? So
I came home from Europe, and that was in mid-June. And I, let's see, I think I was home for a week. And then the whole month of July, my mom and I moved out to L.A. We rented an apartment, and we lived there for a month, and absolutely nothing happened. And here I was.
What did you do in that month that you expected something to happen?
Went to Target a lot. I'm serious. I mean, we were looking. I was like, where? Because you think when you first come out here that opportunities just like come knocking at your door. Like, hey, we have this open call audition for a feature film. You think that that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, right.
So I came out here, and the place I stayed apparently had this big child acting program and all this stuff, and we never heard of anything about it. We were like, that's the reason we stayed there. We were like, oh, this is where, they have all these classes and everything. And it was like a desert. Like, we never spoke to anybody. And then about 3 weeks into it, finally we went down there, and I was in the worst mood for an entire month. I still apologize to my mom, to this day, about how horrible I was, because everything she did.
It's a lot of stress going on.
It is, because everyone at home is like, do you have a job yet? Do you have a job yet? And
isn't that the worst? Like, shut up. Leave me alone.
Literally. Like, my family, I tell them I have an audition for stuff, and they're like, they'll call me the next day, did you get the part? I'm like, well, me and the 3,000 other girls that auditioned for it. Like, and now I've just learned to not say anything unless I get a job. Yeah. But yeah, so I was sitting there, and I was just so stressed out, and she was the only person I knew, and so ounce of anger in me, I took out on her for putting the plate away the wrong way. I'd be like, "Are you kidding me? Leave!" Like I was so. I just. But anyways,
mom.
I know I feel. And she's the sweetest person.
Mrs. Riffle, I apologize for Claire.
No, she literally is the nicest human in the world. Like, and anyways, I've tried to be nice like the past couple years.
What year is this that you moved here?
This is 2015.
Okay.
So this is the year I graduated high school. So Europe, graduation May, Europe June, July, moved to LA for the month. The last week or so, we were staying there. I finally went up to this, or I think my mom spoke to someone that worked there, and we were like, "Where's this child acting program that everyone talks about?" And they're like, "Oh, like we have a bunch of classes, but they start in 3 weeks." And we were like, "Well, great, we're not going to be here." And then they. Somewhere along the lines, I spoke with the woman, and she told me to get in contact with Mary Kennedy, and that she was a woman that came. I'm not sure her association with them. I don't really remember, but I remember I emailed her, and I looked back at the email the other day, and it was so funny. I was like, "Hi, Miss Kennedy," and
now it's like, "What's up, Mary?"
I know, "Hey, Mare." But I emailed her, and I was like, "I really love to meet with you. Like, I know you're coming on the property." I think she met with other kids or something just because she was having her youth acting biz classes, and I really wanted to start taking classes there because I was like, "Oh, it's LA. Everything here is like legit acting." And she replied, and I met with her, and I remember she told me she had classes starting at the end of August. Her the next session of classes was going to start, and I was like, "I'll be here." And so from August 2015 through June of 2017, every weekend I would fly in and out, besides holidays and stuff.
Wait, August 2015.
August 2015 to June
2016 or 2017?
Wait, hold on. So, wait. I know, sorry. Okay.
No, take your time.
2015.
I just know what you're about to say, and that seems.
Oh,
like
yeah. No, you're right. Okay. 2015. It was 2015 to February 2016.
So, like 6 months.
6 months. I was coming every weekend, and then my mom and I came out and stayed another month.
So, when you were coming every weekend from Houston, you're flying here.
Yeah.
On a Friday.
Yep.
Landing. Where were you staying?
Comfort Inns.
Comfort Inns. Going to class.
Saturday morning, and then getting on a flight Saturday night to go home.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's just so much. Like, what? Why not just wait or just move? Why? It just seems so. What were you doing from Sunday through Thursday?
I don't remember a lot of it, but I was drunk all the time. No, I don't know. It was my first legitimate thing that I had found in LA, Mary's class, and I really liked the class, and I liked that I was meeting a lot of people and learning so much. And we would have industry come in, and I really wanted an agent, so I was like, that was like my one thing that I was like, if I keep going to this, like I know eventually I'm gonna find an agency or something, and I'll be able to come out here full time. And so that was kind of like my not an excuse to my dad, but like he kind of was the same way. He was like, why go every single weekend and not just move out there permanently? I was like, well, I don't know. I'm not settled there. Like, I don't know my little niche in LA yet. And I truthfully hated LA.
Do you still hate LA? Be honest. LA is not going to get mad at you.
It's listening. I don't hate LA anymore. I, again, am a homebody 100%, but I've learned to like it a lot more than I did. It's not my favorite place. No. Do I want to live here forever? Absolutely not. But it's where all the opportunities are, and I found friends here, so there's a reason to be here now.
Yeah. Okay. But why didn't you go to New York? I mean, New York has tons of acting and theater and.
Yeah, I don't know. LA was always, you always hear about LA in television and film. New
Yeah.
York was more, for me, I associated New York more with Broadway and music and theater, which...
And you want to be in film.
Right. And so I was like, I'm just going to try out LA. I may end up in New York. I don't know. But I just always knew that LA was... And my agency that I dropped told me that LA was the place to be. That was the one thing they did right.
I was just gonna say, if you took anything away from it, it was moved to LA.
Right.
So you're flying here every week.
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable to me. That's so
I'm
much.
A-list on Southwest now. So
That's. Did they ever lose your baggage? They better not. You must.
no, I carried on because I was only there for a night, so I would literally take a little backpack.
They must have. You must have been able. The amount of airfare you paid must have opened up like 3 stewardess positions. Like, that's so much.
Yeah.
That just shows your dedication, though, and that's, part of the reason why I wanted you to be on this podcast is because your dedication, and you really do truly work hard at what you do, and I think it speaks volumes for a 20-year-old to be doing this and to be committed to it and not, you could have signed up for Mary's classes and then, first week comes and you're sitting in Houston, you could have just been like, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
But you did. I think that's very noble. Is that the word? Probably.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But so did you get an agent and then you moved here full time? Is that how that worked?
Yeah. So I eventually got an agent through Mary and Paul had an agency come for an industry day who I signed with. And so I have
and
them.
And they didn't ask you for any money?
No, they didn't. So I was like, ding.
Hot dog.
Perfect. I was like, I've made it.
Yeah.
Where's my star? But yeah, so I signed with them and I'm still taking Mary's classes. And I started, I'd always heard about Second City.
Mm-hmm.
But never knew whether to do Second City or Groundlings, just to expand on comedy.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what Second City or Groundlings is, it's...
What are you doing? I'm just kidding.
They're improv schools, right? And you have to go through levels, and not only do they teach you improv, but they teach you writing and different kinds of acting and whatnot. It's very, very renowned schools anyways. But... So you got into, well, you said Second City?
Yeah, so I started Second City.
The one on Franklin?
Hollywood Boulevard in Whitley.
Oh, yeah.
There's one on Franklin?
Yeah, there's they have like a black box on Franklin too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think it's Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, I'm sure because Franklin's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started there in September of 2017, and I've made so many great friends there, and it's such a supportive, like, I'm not trying to, like, give them, like, a plug, but, like, it really is, like, they absolutely are so supportive there. It is so fun because you see all the history and all the people that I've looked up to forever.
Name some of them, just because I don't think people believe me when I say these are really, really good places.
Tina Fey, Steve Carell, John Belushi, Jim Belushi,
Chris Farley,
God,
yeah.
and Stephen Colbert. Like, I actually got a book the other day. I won a book in a raffle there of like all these people, like Eugene Levy,
yeah,
Catherine O'Hara, all these people, and it's so cool because I watch interviews of them talking about it now, and I'm like, oh my God, like we have that in common. So, even though most of them went to the Chicago location, it's still like, yeah, like I know, we're like old buddies, alumni. So,
and so that September 2017 is when you started that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was, maybe 8 months ago now, whatever, 9, 7. I'm not good at math.
Me either.
That's why we're actors and comedians.
Yeah, right.
So what? And you recently booked a national commercial, yeah?
I still don't know if it's regional or national, but yes, I did. It
was that like your first booking here, or
I had done one commercial prior to that for Bitmoji, but this was my first like legitimate like I guess big production, and it was the coolest thing I've ever it was.
Can you talk about what it was?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, hit us with it.
So it's for a phone company that's coming out, and my part was a parody commercial within the commercial where I had to drink a bunch of expired milk, which when you're you're drinking milk with cheese, cottage or whatever, mozzarella cheese to make it look like it's chunky, which is a great combination, by the way, especially if you're lactose intolerant like me. Yeah, that was fun. What were you saying?
I was going to say, I knew you were lactose intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
That is dedication.
Yeah. They were like, no, don't come to this audition if you're lactose intolerant. I'm like, of course not. I would never. And then everyone's cracking jokes on set, like, thank God no one here is lactose intolerant. I'm like, you're right. That'd be devastating.
That's how I feel when people talk about politics here. They're like, thank God nobody believes in this.
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, right.
You're like, me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
That's so what was that? What was that like, putting your body through that pain of drinking this?
Well, I took my lactacid before, so that helped a lot. But it was so worth it because I was so mesmerized with like how productions get made and everything that goes into it, and the amount of people that no one recognizes that are behind the scenes. The actors are 10% of it. Like it's amazing to me how quick and how. And I don't know if I just got a really great crew or what the deal was. I mean, if they're all like that, then I'm never leaving. Yeah. But it was, I mean, everyone's just so, like, dedicated to their jobs, and it's so cool. And they treated me like I was some Oscar winner. And I was like, no, I think you have the wrong person. Like, I'm not, no.
Claire Riffle, not Riffle.
Yeah, right. I'm like, you don't have, like, some guy got me 3 chairs.
3 of them?
Yeah, and I was like, because he was like, oh, you're done for a second? Let me get you a chair. He comes out with 3 foldable chairs, and he was like, here you go. And I was like, oh, are these? No, you don't have to. Like, it's totally fine. And he was like, no, I know, but I want to. And I was like, okay. And they gave us water bottles with straws coming out of it to not mess up our makeup. And I was just like, oh my God, Hollywood.
I could get used to that.
I was like, absolutely, yes.
Well, that's all very phenomenal, man. Yeah. That's great, and that kind of brings us to today.
Yeah.
So what are your goals moving forward? 20-year-old Claire Riffle, current milk drinking commercial extraordinaire.
Yes.
What are some of your goals, and what are going to be some of your steps to obtain those goals?
I mean, I just want to continue. Well, right now, like, obviously, I'm still loving Mary's class, and I am continuing with Second City. I want to graduate from there. I have 4 more levels.
It's tough. It
is.
And a lot of people aren't good enough to make it. They don't. Just because you complete the class doesn't mean you move up a level.
No, you have to audition.
Yeah,
right.
I
had to audition to get into, like, certain levels, and it's just like...
Which now, for the listeners, think about the anxiety Claire described earlier about auditions. And then just know that the audition she's going for isn't even for a paid part.
No, it's to take more classes.
Yeah, it's to take more classes, and that's the kind of thing that you have to do out here to get ahead, though.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to accomplish, anyways?
I just want to hopefully get more national commercials. That'd be awesome. Just build up the resume, and then maybe next pilot season be able to audition for. I don't really know my work right now is my goal, just to get jobs, like speaking roles, SAG, all that stuff. And I mean, obviously, in the end, I hope that I make it to, like everybody else, like on the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, but I think you're really barreling your way towards it. 20 years old and living on you know what I was doing at 20? Man, that's, geez Louise. Your parents must be so proud. So we do this every episode. If you had advice for a young actress, maybe a young Southern actress that, has her heads in the clouds like you once did and really wants to, burst onto the scene, what would your advice be going forward for them? Now that you know everything that you've been through, now that you know that kind of stuff, what if you could have said one thing to yourself when you were young, what would it be?
there are going to be so many times when you want to stop and you're just like, it's never going to happen for me. And it still hasn't, nothing huge has happened for me yet. But I know that if I stopped, I would look back 2 years from now and be like, I could have been that part in that movie if I would have just kept going. So I guess don't, sit there and think about doing it. Just come out, try it, stick with it, and don't, every opportunity you get, even if you don't want the part, go out and try for it. And, you never know. And for me, I'm not one of those, I don't want to be one of those internet celebrities, but for
Little
people.
tag, yeah.
For people who do, I guess, just work on your Instagram posts. But I don't know.
I think that's really good advice. Speaking of Instagram, do you have social media you want people to follow you at?
I mean, I have it. It's just at Claire Riffle, CLAIRERIFFLE, but I don't have like anything.
If you can't speed listen either, I'll put her Instagram name in the bio.
Oh, sorry, I speak really quickly.
That was really fast.
I could be one of those people at auctions, like going.
Well, thanks for coming in. We
Thank
really
you for having
appreciate your company. Anyways, guys, check out Claire's Instagram page and hopefully you'll see her drinking milk in a parody commercial soon, or
almond milk, hopefully.
Yeah.
So it'll be okay.
Yeah. At least. Yeah. Gross. Guys, also, if you're in LA next week, I have a show at the Comedy Store April 28th at 10 p.m. on the Shut the Fuck Up and Laugh show.
I love that title.
Presented by Tammy Jo Darren. Please come out and support me, because God knows I could use it. And today's musical guest is Samantha Leo with her single Only Took a Week. She is a rapper / R&B / pop artist from New York. Give her a listen, give her a follow, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
Hey, baby. How you doing? Yeah? Yeah, you my soulmate. I got you. You got me.
Only
That's
took
right.
a week, yeah, that's like 7 days. Only took a week
I know,
for me
baby.
to give you everything.
I'll always be there for
Only
you.
took a week, yeah. Only took a week, yeah. Only
Yeah.
took a week.
Yeah.
Only took a week, yeah. That's like 7 days. Only took a week for me to give you everything. Only took a week, yeah. Only took a week, yeah. Only took a week, yeah. You got me floating on a whole nother plane. You got me feeling like I'm going insane. You tell me call you by your government name. If you the lighter, baby, I'll be the flame. I'm feeling childish. You got me excited. You choose to fly, then I'll be your co-pilot. And I wanna tell you now that this is all yours, and that I never in my life been this sure. Your arms around me, damn, I feel so pretty. From the day you met me, you said you was fucking with me, and that was about a week ago. But I don't give a fuck. They can call me crazy, but I don't care, 'cause I fell
Only
in love.
took a week,
yeah, that's like 7 days. Only took a week for me to give you everything. Only took a week, yeah. Only took a week, yeah. Only took a week. Only took a week, yeah. That's like 7 days. Only took a week for me to give you everything. Only took a week, yeah. Only took a week, yeah. Only took a week. Yeah. Come walk week, yeah. Only took a week, yeah.